This is a reading for Aries for the month of the new year, for January, for December, January, for the month of between. It's actually just for now. Aries, you're not going to die. So look, you are going through some troubles, and you're a very important sign, and you have you're going to experience a lot of difficulties and struggles, and they're going to be intense. I want you to know, Aries, you're not going to die. And ultimately, you're going to feel like you're going to die. You're ultimately feeling like nothing's going to work. You're feeling like it's over with, and you're just waiting for the end. Understand, Aries. If you feel like it's over with and you're just waiting for the end, what you're doing is trying to cooperate with the will of whatever's trying to be against you. And understand, if you're going to cooperate with whatever's trying to be against you, you're just being good, and you're not going to fight it. If you're going to not fight it, Aries, then you're going to be destroyed. Eventually, you'll just get weaker. You won't fight. It'll just drain you until you're done and over with. And you'll give it up. You'll give it all up. Say, it doesn't even matter anymore. You'll be at a place where it's over. I want you to know it's not over, Aries. And ultimately, I want you to be strong right now. I want you to take some strength and be strong and know that you're not going to die. You're going to live. Okay, we're going to do this reading, and you're going through a lot of hard stuff, Aries, and you don't want to fight. You don't want to fight the enemy. Understand, Aries, I'm not telling you to fight the enemy. What I'm telling you is you have to protect yourself. You don't need to fight the enemy, but you don't need. You cannot just sit there and get beat up and victimized. Aries, you have to take yourself, and you have to be yourself by taking your spirit into you, being self-possessed of your soul. You have to pull yourself together and be you right now. Be strong. Okay. Understand that, Aries, your whole idea of what you do to be strong is pulling your soul into your body, being self-possessed of it, and then having a possessed soul in you makes you strong. It makes you Aries, the first house, self-possessed being that has strength and is is an animated spiritual being with as a human being mixed with the spirit that's animating its body. When you pull yourself in, Aries, and you're trying to pull yourself together, people will expect you to get out and just let yourself go because they think that cooperation and behaving has everything to do with losing your soul and letting it go. So if you lose your soul and let it go, it's because maybe it was misbehaving. It had some bad ideas. And so you had to let that misbehaving spirit out of you. Well, that's when they say you're behaving, when you let the misbehaving spirit out of you. And when you do, Aries, you're dead. You're as good as dead because, Aries, you are that spirit that gets into you that misbehaves. And you are the ego that is misbehaving and set against the world. And understand, Aries, if you don't think your ego or the ego is you, it is you, Aries. It's no one else. It's Leo and you are the ego, the misbehaving ego of a man that's rebellious and misbehaving comes from you and Leo. It's hard to really understand, Aries, that when you look at yourself and see who you really are, if you don't know who you really are, well, I mean, truly, it's going to bother you a lot. You're going to want to know who you really are. Who am I? Aries, you're a misbehaving and often rebellious soul that is strong and capable and maybe more capable than anyone else. And so it's dangerous too. You're dangerous. You're dangerous to be a self-possessed, empowered spirit because it makes you strong and powerful and capable of doing anything you want, including opposing anybody and bringing anybody down. So the thing is that when you're strong, Aries, you're a bully in the emotional field. Your strength bullies other people because you possess the self-empowered strength. Other people feel threatened and weakened by it, and they are. So the idea, Aries, that you are strong is an idea that is your right to demand. I want to be strong. I want to be me. I want to be here now and inside myself and be strong. Well, then you have to know, Aries, that suicide is a result. It's when you want to kill yourself, it's a result of having lost your spirit, and the self won't participate when you're in poverty and poorness. Understand, Aries, when you don't have any money, well, the self doesn't want to get in and be strong and powerful and important. It says we don't even, can't get what we want. So, Aries, your own soul won't want to participate with you if you don't have money and position and power. Your own soul will just stay out and say, Psh. Understand, Aries, that's why you give up or just go insane, or your mental stability, Aries, is not very good, because you're going to lose your soul and your spirit, and it won't even want to come back to you. What do you got for it? How important are you? Aries, your importance, your mission in life, what you're doing has everything to do with your spirit's ability to want to get inside you and make you strong. And it wants you to be important. It wants to have a reason to get inside. And then it wants to have a mission to perform, a duty to do. Aries, if you're going to be okay, you have to be important. You have to feel important. You have to have a mission that you're going to be on, and you have to talk to God and say, I'm somebody. I'm somebody. Let's do it. So I'm going to tell you, Aries, you are with God. God is with you. And I want you to know that he's absolutely with you. And I would not tell you, understand, Aries, I used to talk about other things like goddess, and I'm not going to talk about her right now. She's not who I'm talking about. She has nothing to do with this reading or you. Understand, Aries, the divine feminine doesn't like you at all. And you are a threat. And you are, it's worse than that, Aries. The divine feminine sees you as the enemy. The reason why it is because she is not okay with you coming around and being strong and powerful in front of her. She's offended by it, Aries, and she doesn't even know what she's offended by. She certainly does not appreciate you coming around empowered, self-empowered, and she would think, look at that ego thinking it's so. What does it think it's God? What does it think it's strong, important? I can't stand him. Ultimately, she wants you to drop your will and let your soul and your spirit go. She wants you to let your God go and let it fly away. And then she says, okay, now I can deal with you. Are you okay? You just dispossess yourself of God. Now you don't have anything, Aries. Now I'll be nice to you. And now I'll let you. Yeah, it's Aries, you have to be surrendering and giving up in order to get accepted. They won't accept you until you let go of all your power and prove you won't take it. And it makes you want to kill yourself, commit suicide, kill other people. It makes you want to give up. It makes you hate life, hate God. It makes you hate yourself. So, Aries, everything that is happening to you needs to be known and understood by you. Okay, let's start. First thing we got here, Aries, is Seven of Swords. And Seven of Swords is the moon in Aquarius energy. This is Seven of Swords is the energy of Libra, in the house of Libra. So it's the house of other people. And basically, it represents, the first card represents the moon energy and the Aquarian energy, which is advanced in this divine feminine kind of moon goddess or moon. It's a moon goddess. The Seven of Swords is basically opposing her because she's opposing it. So the moon energy and the Aquarius energy is advanced. And in the seventh, it has to be others in order for it to be accepted. So that means that you have to be okay. So yeah, it's got the moon and Aquarius. Okay, it's crossed by the Page of Pentacles, which is the entire element of Earth. It's the entire element of Earth. Okay, and the Ten of Pentacles is in your position for the root. Ten of Pentacles, it's Mercury with Virgo in the Ten of Pentacles in the root position. So what we have here is a mix of Virgo, which is balanced in the root of your situation. It's mixed with balance, which makes it kind of unbalanced because it's a mixture of like two forces trying to balance each other, and ultimately it could be balanced in the mixture, but not if it's pure. So this was describing a condition, Aries, where your purity is less important when you're mixing with other energies that are considered to be pure when they work together purely work together. They're mixed. They're not pure. So the mixture is seen as a purity, as what you're supposed to do, but you'll actually not want to mix with the other energy. You'll think it's not pure. Ultimately, it's your purpose. You're supposed to mix with it, but Aries, it's hard for you to mix with it. He is not going to die. And not today, not tomorrow, and not for a long time, Aries. You're going to be okay, Aries. And make sure you're not against the divine feminine. So you want to be, you're going to be in conflict, Aries, and you want to be not against her. She's going to be against you, and she's going to point out that you're the enemy and you're bad. And ultimately, because your energy, Aries, is the energy of the singularity and empowered in the emperor and the king, and ultimately all the most powerful masculine singularity is coming from men in charge of the world. They're ruling it as alone ruling it. So when you rule, Aries, you don't rule with other energies. The way that you rule is not to mix with them. And so you actually rule as a pure first, even if you're a half. You rule as a pure first, so that your actual fire element is purely only you, and it's purely only fire, mixing with nothing else. Now understand that, Aries, you're the first sign of the zodiac, and you're the first pure fire element that came in by itself. And so that fire element that came in by itself is purely fire element and the only one there. And you came into existence first, Aries. You're a first house in the pantheon of the gods to be into the position of the pantheon. Position was Eris, which became you, Aries. And ultimately, Eris was murdered by Athena. And ultimately, Aries, you came from Ares, the Greek god of war, and they put an I into your name. And ultimately, to me, it means that placing an I in there changes your character somewhat a lot. And so you can see better now as Aries than as Ares, who was against women, and ultimately ruled as a half-brained idiot. If you asked Athena, he was a half-brained fool of a god that was an idiot. And so understand, that's only Athena's opinion. And Eris, who became you, Aries, was murdered by Athena when she surprised attacked him. She first pretended to be just a man and a drunk man, and she got near Ares, the god of war, when he was on the battlefield in Troy. She got near him, and ultimately she came to him as a man that was a drunk, just a regular man, and he insulted the god Aries or Ares. So he started yelling insults at Ares, who looked at the man and said, like, you're just a mortal man, and you're looking at a god right now, and you're going to tell me and insult me. You are making a foolish mistake. And ultimately, Ares just told the old man, like, you're drunk, go back home and sleep it off. And ultimately, it was Athena pretending to be a man who was drunk. She was insulting him and wouldn't leave. And she said, you are a dirtbag god. You are no god. It was a man, supposedly, what he was looking at, insulting him on the highest ways. And Athena knew exactly how to insult her little brother. So Ares was sitting there being insulted by what he thought was a human being who was drunk. And he told the guy, you're going to die insulting a god. There's not a chance you're going to live if your purpose is to insult me and you're coming over here. And like if you want to live, you should go home, sleep it off. And she wouldn't leave. She kept insulting him. And so he, believing it was a drunk man that wanted to die, that obviously didn't want to live, he told him that if you're here in 2 minutes, you obviously you want to die. And accommodate that fact. And ultimately, Athena sat there and just waited that 2 minutes. And Ares approached this man who he thought he was drunk, and he was going to kill him because he was basically going to say, "I'm putting you out. You had your chance." And basically, it was Athena, a goddess, a full-fledged goddess, who absolutely stabbed Ares in the stomach by a surprise attack with the sword Hephaestus, the god, made that was made to destroy gods. So Ares or Ares got stabbed with a sword that was absolutely made to kill him, and it was made by a god to kill a god. The sword was like magical, or whatever you want to say. It had some properties in it. It was created to destroy gods. It was not just a sword. And he got stabbed in the stomach. Ares went up to Mount Olympus to ask for some healing from his dad, who then told him that he was a god that was created as a god of war. And Zeus told Ares that Athena is better than you, and she does what I ask. And she's a woman, and she's also a god and a man. So she's not against men, she's not against women, and she doesn't have a problem. And ultimately, Zeus told Ares that you have a problem. You're the god of war who is against women, and you're against the divine feminine, and you don't accept it. So you go around rejecting women and their energies. And Ares just thought, well, that's part of what I do. That's part of who I am. As I'm not feminine, and so I'll reject it. You can't push it on me. So ultimately, what was going on here, Aries, was Ares was a singularity, which was a pure fire element, and existed as a god, as that pure fire element in a half form that doesn't have the other half. And because it was the first element, and the fire is the first element, and the only element existing when the fire came into existence, there was no earth yet. Earth is the second element. So the fire by itself, existing solely by itself, was only one half, the first half. There was no second half yet, so there was nothing to join. The fire, or the first element that comes from you, Aries, that creates through your energy and the elements, is created as a masculine only. Even if it's feminine, it's a singularity only, which is the same thing as masculine only, because feminine is plural. And to be plural, you'll be possessed of the fire element or any other element. And so understand that, Aries, you're not two elements. You're only one element, and you're the first element. And there was no second element when you were created. So there was nothing you could mix with. You were 100% like you needed to be by yourself, as the fire by itself. And there's nothing wrong with you. You're certainly the only half there. The first half there's no second half existing. When the second half came into existence, Aries, it was the earth element, and it could be possessed by the fire element. So the fire element could get into the earth element, and the earth element could have fire in it and be earth element, because earth and fire could be together in the second house as the earth element house that has fire or not. So basically, Aries, all the signs are able to mix and take on energies, be possessed by them, starting with the second house, Taurus. And Taurus can be possessed by fire and earth, as earth with fire. And that's house 2, and that's Taurus. That's only the second house where that starts. Aries in the third house, same thing. 4th house, 5th house, 6th house, all the way up to 12th house. When you in the first house, there's no element there. There's no two elements there. In the first house, there's fire element and only fire element as a half that doesn't need the other half yet, because it's a half that exists 100% on its own, and it existed before there was a second half. So it's considered to be pure and whole and not a half, even though it is a half, because it's 100% a half, and there is no other half. When the other half arrives and came, it was the earth element. Second half comes in. The second half comes in, and now it's possible in the second house or third house to get the two halves together. But because, Aries, you're only a first half and you're by yourself, you're the only sign that is by yourself. And the energies and the elements, you have only one element. It's by itself. It's ultimately not in cooperation or with any other elements or energies. It is by itself, and it stays by itself. So it is thought to be non-cooperative and also a problem. Okay. All right. I'm going to start another one. I'll see you in a minute.